Hello everyone, I'm actually doing this different than normal. I have wine for one. The other one is I'm actually recording the night it has to go up. Primarily because we've had a busy day today, so I've been very busy. So and the idea of covering this didn't come to me until early hours this morning, as I was perusing YouTube, and then this sort of came to me. I have some notes. If you've seen the title, you already know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, sort of rehash some stuff that has happened before, but there's been progressions in that, and we're also going to look at what could possibly be going on with Onisions, because this shit is getting weird. So, over the last couple of weeks, Onisions has decided to shut down Onisions Speaks. Now, whether he's just completely shut down the channel, deleting all the videos that's on there, or whether he's just not uploading to that channel anymore and started a new channel called Onisions Speaks 2, I think what it's called, which isn't even monetized yet. And knowing his reputation with YouTube, it probably won't get monetized because he's already talking about controversial shit on there. So that doesn't help. A couple of things have started to come out. First of all, he now wants to be called, he's starting this new channel where he's not actually himself, he's not actually Greg, he's not Onisions, he's a character, so that he can voice opinions that aren't necessarily his, but because it's not him, you can't get mad at him. That doesn't work. People have tried that on YouTube for years, where they've said, well, this opinion's out there, it's not my opinion, so don't get mad at me, and then they get mad at you. Because that's what happens. If you say something that people disagree with, if you say something that people find repugnant or harmful or whatever, people are going to call you out on it, whether you agree with that sentiment or not. It comes out of your mouth, so therefore you are held responsible for those words being spoken. Now, I'm not saying that that's correct, because you'll have somebody who plays a character on TV, and because that character believes in something, then that actor's tarnished with that, which I don't agree with. But in this instance, Greg is trying to say that he's playing a character. He's basically just trying to put a bit of distance between what he's putting out online and what he can be held responsible for. But the only problem is that shit doesn't work. People tried it, it does not work at all. He also says, unless you're pledging to his Patreon, you're worthless. You're worthless to him. That you're not paying him to do his job. That's what AdSense is for. And if you weren't such a dick, you wouldn't get so pulled apart by fucking demonetization. I'm not even monetized, so I can't say shit. But even when I was monetized, I have videos that got demonetized because I talk about things that are deemed as not nice, and things that need to be talked about, but yet YouTube are trying to hide, which that's a different topic altogether. But the plain simple fact is, the reason why Onisions gets demonetized so much, and the reason why Onisions is essentially on the bad side of YouTube, is because of the shit that he posts. The last time we went to VidCon, the reason why he got banned is he showed up with a bulletproof vest on and was acting like an absolute maniac on stage. And then he wonders why nobody talks to him and why nobody wants to collaborate him. He's also said that he wants to box Shane, as we've had recently with a lot of the boxing, with the KSI Joel Weller, KSI and Logan Paul, which in my opinion KSI won. You might think otherwise, but it's just my opinion. Then there was the Deji and Jake Paul. So Onisions wants to box Shane without headgear, but he's under the impression that he's going to whoop Shane's ass. Now, I don't know whether Onisions is aware. Greg, pay attention. Shane goes to the gym 2 hours a day. What you see of Shane, granted we don't see much physically, is, and this is coming from a fat chick, I don't see much fat on him. He says he's fat. No, to me he looks like he works out. There's a difference. It's like saying The Rock's fat because he's a big guy, and it's like, no, the guy works out. Another example, and it's a parallel example, but only some people know who I'm on about. The guy who used to play Skinner in the X-Files. I read an interview with him once, and he works out 2 hours every day. So you and those of you who know who I'm on about, you know he's a big guy. So you translate that to somebody like Shane Dawson, who's probably about 6 foot, and he's got muscle. He works out 2 hours a day. It's the only time he leaves the house, when he's not filming for recording. So he works out a lot. He calls himself fat, but he isn't. He just works out a lot, and he's, to me, is what you call built. And I think Onisions under the impression, because he's former military and because he's thin and because he's slender, that he would whoop Shane's ass. No, Greg, you would get your ass handed to you, especially considering the fact that Shane has the money to pay for a trainer. And where is it that he lives? Oh yeah, Hollywood. And oh, doesn't he have connections with quite a few movie stars who could put them in contact with their, you know, the people that train them? There's a lot of people in Hollywood, in LA, that will train you to fight. He has that at his behest. Greg doesn't. Greg is, okay, it's not as far away as from LA as you can get, but he's not next door. So for him to say that he would beat Shane, I think it might be Uncle Kulan, though, my friend. What else? He seems to lately to be falling into this quagmire of not actually knowing who he is. Because 1 minute he's acting like a baby, the next minute he's ranting, the next minute he's apologising to people, but he'll apologise to Shane if he's wrong, but he doesn't think he's wrong. And he doesn't seem to know genuinely who he is. And I think I've got an idea where that comes from. Greg is generally defined by the people that are in his life. Now, I've never been like that. I've never ever been like that. Where if he's in a relationship, he's fine. And when I do my series on his relationships, you will see what I mean. When he's in a relationship, he's fine. When he's with someone, he's fine, because that person gives him a personality. That person gives him a reason to live. That person gives him a reason to breathe, and things like that. When he's not with somebody, he's not normal. That's why he is, in the past, he's acted very obsessive about people that have been in his life. Now, I'm not saying that he's not in a relationship, because he is. He's married to Lenny, but there has to be something going on in Greg's head where the relationship with Lenny isn't enough. Obviously, I don't live with them, I don't interact with them on a daily basis, I don't know what their relationship is like. But if he's acting like this, what's going on in his head and in the home that's causing this disjoint that we've seen happen before. We saw it happen with Charlotte. We saw it happen with Sky. We saw it even happen with Billy to a point where something happens, so the relationship starts breaking down, so he kicks off and he attacks and attacks and attacks because he's trying to pull them back, and he's thinking if he attacks them enough they'll come running back to stop the attacks, but it doesn't work that way. He doesn't seem to have a clear picture of who he is, and from the research I've done on his relationships, it seems to be that there's either very little gap or there's an overlap between relationships. He's never not in a relationship. Now, other than the current relationship I'm in now, which is my marriage, this is the longest relationship I've ever been in. I've probably spent more time out of a relationship than in a relationship before being married. Now I'm married, I think I've probably spent, me and my husband have never split up, we've never had a break, we've never done anything like that. The only time we've been apart is when he was in hospital. So, and like I say, I can't say much on their relationship, but I do wonder what's going on for him to be more unstable than normal. Why is he continuing to beat a dead horse, so to speak? Shane's made it blatantly clear he doesn't want anything to do with Greg. He said to Greg, stop. He's even hinted at Greg in a video and said, for God's sake, what was it again? That guy on the internet that talks a lot of shit about me. Sorry for those that think he's talking about somebody else. In my opinion, it's Greg, because Greg's the main person who talks shit about him. It just reeks of either there's something going on in the relationship or there's something going on in his head where his grasp on reality is fading. And as somebody who has mental illness issues and has I have people in my life that also have mental illness issues, and we manage them for the most part. I think all of us manage them actually. Yeah, we do. You need, if you are falling into something that you don't know what it is and you don't know why you feel the way you do, speak to a professional, for crying out loud. That's what they're there for. If you don't know what's going on, but you know something's not right, speak to a professional. They will help you. That is their job. He also said in one of his videos that he likes his girls 18+. Now, there are numerous incidents that absolutely discount this. First of all, he married Lainey when she was 17. Secondly, there are rumours, and I will say that there are rumours, of him grooming a 14-year-old. Him and Lainey grooming a 14-year-old. She's 17 now, but they've been talking to her for years. And, there are a lot of people that would see that as creepy. Where they've been talking to her, they've been having conversations with her, and, she stays over at the house and things like that. And it's like, you're a poly couple who are inviting a 17-year-old to your house for fun. And he's also admitted that he likes his girls to be underdeveloped. That is suspicious. I'm sorry, but to me, I'm bisexual. My core fans know I'm bisexual. I like my men and my women to be definite men or women. I like my women to have curves. I don't generally go for the skinny. I go for the curvy. I always have done. Sorry. He's also now I'm going to do something I don't do often on this channel. I'm actually going to defend Joy. Shock horror, I know. I'm actually going to defend Joy Sparkle BS. In a recent live stream, somebody mentioned Joy in his chat. So he then went off on one, and he's done this before, and I'm actually going to point the difference out to him. He was saying that because fibromyalgia is something that starts in your brain, that it's a form of mental illness, and the actual truth is it isn't. What it is the cause of fibromyalgia isn't 100% known, but the general thought is that it's wonky body and brain chemistry. And it's also the misfiring of nerves, which are controlled by the brain and are interpreted by the brain. So in some instances, the brain will be thinking, say if I had fibro, I don't, I have other issues, I don't have fibro. But say I have issues with this arm, which I do, but it's not fibro, it's something else. If I had fibro and this arm was hurting, there wouldn't actually be anything specifically wrong with my arm, but my brain would think that my arm is in pain. That isn't a form of mental illness. That is a form of physical chronic disorder caused by wonky brain and body chemistry. It's completely different from schizophrenia, from dissociative identity disorder, body integrity disorder, and so many more. While there are a litany of mental illnesses, fibromyalgia is not seen as a mental illness, it's a physical illness. It is dealt with by painkillers. There's also another condition, and I've forgotten the name of it, where your brain thinks it's telling you that your body's in pain when it isn't. There was a very famous case of a young man who was he lived in America, or Canada, I can't remember, but he suffered from this. And it's something like persistent pain, where you basically feel like you're in pain all the time and you can't do anything, but there's nothing physically wrong, but your brain is saying that your body's in pain, but there's nothing wrong with your body. It's weird. And like I say, it's down to wonky brain and body chemistry. It's not down to mental illness. Whereas Greg still got it in his head that fibromyalgia is a form of mental illness. No, it isn't. It is a form of physical illness. Just like my condition, although my condition is different, I have a condition called EDS, where my body dislocates and my joints dislocate at will. And I also have stuff wrong with my intestines and other body systems. But when you have a condition like the pain condition, like cluster headaches, like fibromyalgia, because the body and brain chemistry is wonky, it's saying, your brain's saying one thing when your body is saying, hold up, but no, I'm not in pain. But you think you are in pain because your brain's telling you that you're in pain. So then you have to have nerve tablets, painkillers that work on your nerves and the receptors in your brain to dull down the effect of that pain, which is usually something like Lyrica, or what we call it over here, pregabalin, or gabapentin, which is the precursor to pregabalin. So he seems to be completely oblivious to the fact that there is a difference between mental illness, which is a problem with the behavioural, the comprehension and everything side of your brain, includes dissociative identity disorder, body integrity disorder, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, etc. And other conditions where the brain chemistry is off and the brain's saying one thing but the body's saying something else. So it's two different things, Greg. Trust me, it's two different things. I don't often defend Joy, as most people who know me know. I generally, some things Joy's done that I don't like and that I don't think are of use for any conversation with anybody, let alone somebody like Joy. And I'm not saying that Joy's perfect or innocent in this, because she isn't, because she's poked that bear a few times too many. And the way Joy was to Greg is the way Greg is to Shane. So, his jealousy is pointed mainly at Shane at the minute, because Shane has been on this platform since day dot. For most people that are aware, you know this. Shane's been on this platform for over 10 years. One sec. And he's gotten that thing where he reinvents himself like every couple of years. And he learns how to look at the algorithm. He learns how to look at the way things happen and the way things work, and use that as a way to essentially work the system. And he's constantly reinventing himself. He's constantly doing well. And I think it was Phil the other day who mentioned this, where the last couple of series that Shane's done, which was the Kathy Griffin one with his mum, the Tanner one and the Jeffree Star one, have never failed to go, they've never gone under 10 million views, and they are greatly anticipated. We haven't had a video for them for 3 weeks, and I'm like, waiting, because we all know it's about Jake Paul. We figured that out by this point, and if we didn't, Phil sort of, solidified that yesterday. But we all know that it's on Jake Paul. So we know that there's some juicy stuff coming, because he said that he was angry at a person, then he was angry at, it was about a person, then it was about a team, and then it was about everybody. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out. I just hope none of it comes back on him. Bless him. But I think because Greg's channel is just basically going like this, whereas Shane's channel is just going like this. And, Shane is seen as the pillar of the community, he's seen as one of the good guys, he's seen as an outstanding person, and Greg is seen as a worthless piece of that a lot of people have lost complete respect for because of the way he's treated people. Billy being one of, for me, the two main people was the last girl that got caught in his web and Billy. And these people, I really feel bad for him, because he just spits them up and chews them out, and he wishes he could do that to Shane, but he can't, because Shane's got more importance in the YouTube community, or in the community as a whole, to be bothered by the likes of somebody like Onisions, where Onisions thinks that Shane owes him something, or that Shane, that Shane's lesser than him because he thinks that he's always right. And it's like, no. And it's blatantly obvious that he is jealous of Shane's popularity, that he's jealous of the fact that Shane is constantly getting sponsorships, the fact that Shane is constantly being supported by other people on the platform, and that his videos are celebrated. Sorry, the video, I can only record for 20 minutes at a time, about just over 20 minutes. I haven't nearly done that, so I promise. But the plain simple fact is, he's jealous, end of. And it's blatant jealousy. Oh, this is a good one. I'll actually back this up. For the last year, he's trying to push this idea that Shane is a pedophile. We've already discussed this on this channel. Nah, not true. And there's a lot of people, including Philip DeFranco, who will back me up on that. And Onisions seems to think he has evidence to prove that Shane's a paedophile. But he won't release that evidence, and do you know why? It's one of two reasons. One, he doesn't have it, which is the more than likely alternative. And he's saying that Shane's a paedophile because he's jealous of him, so he's trying to pull him down. It's like, well, produce your proof and then we might believe you, but you're not willing to produce your proof. And if you genuinely thought that he was a paedophile, you would have got in touch with the LAPD by now and given them the information that you have, but you haven't, So, yeah. Oh, crap. Hmm. We all remember what happened when Shane got accused of being a paedophile. A channel decided to upload videos saying that Shane was a paedophile. What if those videos were either done by or paid for by somebody like Greg? Or Greg himself? I'm not saying that that is true, but you have to admit that it is something that it's like Greg has this thing about putting everybody else's personal details out there. So why won't he produce proof even if it includes personal details? Why wouldn't he? Because he's not above putting out other people's personal details. But he hasn't, so that means it's a lot of... It's just a thought. It's just a thought, because the view of the whole thing with Pop Blast is that somebody paid for it. And one person that's always been a detractor of Shane's because Shane didn't help him when he got famous has been Greg. And because Shane flaked on a collab that they were going to do together. Yeah, alright then. And the other flip side is, because even if he has any proof, which he probably doesn't, it's probably something twisted into something else, that's twisted into something else in his head. But when we look at it, we're like, no, that's not the case. But in his head, it's like, yeah, it is, and we're like, no, it's not. He would be sued for slander, and it would ruin him and his family. And although Shane doesn't want to do that, he knows at one point it will probably become a likelihood that he will have to at some point, because Greg is getting to the point where he's constantly pushing this: Shane's a paedophile, Shane's a monster, Shane's a paedophile, Shane's a monster, Shane's a paedophile, Shane's a monster. Oh, it fucking isn't, Greg. Shut the fuck up. If he was, don't you think there'd be, when everything happened, that somebody would have said something then? That somebody would have said, actually, yeah, he is, and I've got proof. Like we've had with Chris Ingham, like we've had with Austin Jones, like we've had with so many other YouTubers that have got kicked in the butt by something like this. The plain simple fact is, Greg's jealous and he's trying everything he can to bring Shane down. He thinks that he'll whoop Shane's ass. I think you might be wrong there, Greg. He thinks that he's better than Shane. No, you're not. That he's more involved in life in general and that he's a better person than Shane. No, you're not, because Shane's held people accountable for shit on the internet. You can't even hold yourself accountable for shit you've done on the internet. You've begrudgingly apologised to Eugenia. You've begrudgingly apologised to Blur. You've begrudgingly apologised to a few people, including Shane. But you begrudgingly apologised. You've not actually been, to me, none of those apologies have felt sincere. I don't even think you know what a sincere apology is. And the plain simple fact is, if you had proof to back up what you're saying, you would have shared it by now. And sharing emails between the two of you, where if you're saying to him, tell the police, and you say, I haven't got a clue what you're on about, Greg, you need help, it doesn't help your case in any way, Greg. Just back off Shane, let him do what he needs to, take some time off the internet. Now, I know it's your job and all, but step away from the computer for a couple of weeks, Greg. At the end of the day, your own mental health, because I do really think there is something going on there, your own mental health and the stability of your family is more important than a fucking job on the internet. and you're saying that you can't get paid the money that you need to live doing a normal job. You have skills that become translated into jobs. You have skills where you can work as an editor for other people. You can work as an editor for a company. You can manage websites for people. And I've managed websites for people, and it doesn't take that much work. And you get paid pretty well for it. But you don't want to do that because it's beneath you, because you're above that. Grow up, Greg. You're only a couple of years younger than me. I learned all this over 10 years ago. I learned that no matter what you think you're worth in your head, bring it down a few notches, because, and especially when you go somewhere with the personality of you need to bring it down a few notches, because otherwise people, and they already have, they're like, I'm done. How many people have left Patreon, Greg? How many people have stopped pledging to you on Patreon? How many people have pulled back? I was once a fan for about a week or two. I was a fan of Joy longer than I was yours. And then I was pissed off by your attitude towards mental illness. And now that you're suffering from something that is very reminiscent of a breakdown, I'm genuinely worried for you, Greg. And I don't get worried about people that easily. I'm genuinely worried about who you are and what you're going through in your head, because what's going on in your head and what's going on in reality isn't matching. And there's a disconnect there somewhere. But yeah, stop poking Shane, because eventually he will have to say, look, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to do something. Though he probably might not, because he knows that that's just giving you the attention that you deserve, that you want, that you're giving him the, that he'll give you the relevancy that he deserves. But I don't think he will. But if you go too far, he will have no legal recourse but to. And if I was Ryland or Morgan or Garrett or even Jeffrey, God, if I was Jeffrey's friend, I'd be like, Jeffrey, can you deal with this asshole for me? Because you definitely don't want Jeffrey coming after you. Let's just put it that way. Greg, calm down. Step away from the computer, and I've said this on and off for the last 2 years. Step away from the computer. Put some space between you and that. Concentrate on you, concentrate on your family just for 2 weeks and see how you feel. And we'll go from there. Because the way you're acting now, you're just falling deeper and deeper into a spiral that is going to get harder and harder to get out of. Okay? Okay. Right, I'm gonna... I don't do much editing because I don't have the software at the minute, because I'm trying to save up for it. But I'm going to upload this now. It's probably going to take until, well, it's 11:30 now, so it shouldn't take me too long. So I'll upload this as soon as I can, so you guys can see it. Friday's video will probably be recorded Friday night, because we've got a busy day tomorrow and Friday during the day as well, so hopefully I'll feel inspired by them. So, if there's ever anything you want me to cover relating to Greg, relating to Joy, relating to anybody, let me know down below, and I will try my best to cover it. Like I said, I am working on the series 2 with his relationships, but because of other stuff going on, I don't always have the time to sit down and do those videos. And also, I would like to have better editing software to do that, because I want to put in proof as I'm doing things. So stay safe, be good, have fun, and I will see you on Friday.